Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the President and CEO of the Greater Houston Partnership, Bob Harvey.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. If you would take your seats, please. If you would take your seats. If you would take your seats, please, we'll get started. Great. Please take your seats. If you would take your seats. All right. We're getting very close. We'll start just as soon as everyone takes a seat. Thank you very much. We've got a great crowd this afternoon. All right, thank you very much. I'll take quiet even before everyone takes their seats. Wonderful, thank you. Hey, I'm Bob Harvey. I'm the President and CEO of the Greater Houston Partnership, and it's my distinct pleasure to welcome you to the Partnership's State of Metro. And many of you come to this event each year, and you can attest to the fact that this is the largest State of Metro that I can recall, at least in my 7 or 8 years with the partnership. So after lunch, we'll hear from Metro Chair Carrin Patman, who will share details on Metro Next. Everyone knows that's Metro's plan to advance our public transportation model to meet the dynamic growth and mobility needs of Greater Houston. Now, before I begin, I would like to take a moment to honor the life and selfless service of Harris County Sheriff's Deputy Sandeep Dalawal. Many of you know Sandeep was a true trailblazer, a community-minded public servant who was killed last Friday in the line of duty. I will ask that you join me in a moment of silence to honor Deputy Dalawal. Thank you. Thank you very much. Now, one of the key pillars of our work at the partnership is ensuring a great quality of life, and it's great to see Houston's renaissance, revitalized neighborhoods, public spaces, all garnering national media attention, reflecting the tremendous progress we've made in Houston over, I'd say, the last 2 decades. That said, there's still need to do a lot to cement our reputation as a major metro that offers a superb quality of life, one that attracts and retains 21st century businesses and talent. Commuter congestion in Houston undoubtedly calls for the region to pursue new mobility plans designed around new technologies and changing demographic patterns through both mass transit options as well as roadway improvements. The Greater Houston region's 11 counties contain more than 10,000 lane miles of roadway and a volume of more than 95 million vehicle miles traveled per day by commuters. 95 million vehicle miles per day traveled by Houston commuters. With this type of volume, it is simply critical that the regional entities charged with transportation improvement work together to ensure a sustainable multimodal transportation network. The partnership is engaged and committed to working with regional entities, including Metro, TxDOT, and others, as well as elected officials at all levels of government to ensure that we're moving in the right direction. The partnership and Metro have a long-standing record of working together to improve Houston's mobility network. In fact, nearly 40 years ago, the The partnership's predecessor, the Houston Chamber of Commerce, worked with the then relatively new Metro to develop the Houston Region Mobility Plan, which was a first-of-its-kind blueprint for the region, and that was a catalyst for major transportation infrastructure enhancements in the 80s and 90s. While we should attempt to forecast the region's future mobility needs, we must also remain flexible and put forward plans that adapt to regional growth patterns and advancements in transportation technology, and I believe Metro Next will do just that. Now, before we continue with our program, I would like to acknowledge those who have made today's event possible. And if you would hold your applause, please. They are gold sponsors Arcadis, Dannenbaum Engineering, HNTB Corporation, S&B Infrastructure. Our silver sponsors are Freedom CNG, Oric, Harrington, and Sutcliffe, Traffic Engineers Incorporated. Our bronze sponsors include AECOM, Astor LP, C3 Building Solutions, Parsons Corporation, Haynes and Boone, Hewitt Zollers Inc., Hush Blackwell LLP, Norton Rose Fulbright, WSP USA, and Zarenkelk Engineering Services. Our photography underwriter is Gunda Corporation. So can we now thank all of our sponsors who made this possible? Thank you. Now I'd like to recognize some of the distinguished guests who've joined us today, and I'd like to begin with our elected officials who are in attendance. I'll ask the elected officials to stand when I give your name and remain standing throughout. And I'd ask all of you to hold your applause until I've named all of the elected officials who are present. Beginning at the federal level, we have Congresswoman Lizzie Fletcher. At the state elected officials level, we have Representative Jean Wu. And city council members, Councilmember Jack Christie, Councilmember Robert Gallegos, Councilmember Mike Knox, Councilmember Dave Martin, Councilmember David Robinson. At the county, we have Harris County Attorney Vince Ryan. And in terms of other elected officials, I saw Houston Community College trustee Eva Laredo. Can we have a round of applause? Oh, okay, let's have a round of applause. And I missed some, all right. So the following two will get a special ovation. Lone Star College trustee Art Murillo. Art, would you stand? And City of Pearland Council Member Gary Moore, would you stand? Thank you for being here. All right. Now, would you also please join me in acknowledging members of Houston's Consular Corps. I saw a number of members of the Consular Corps who are present. Would all of you stand and be recognized? Thank you. Over here on my right. Thank you. I'd also like to acknowledge the partnership's Transportation Policy Committee, and particularly its chair, Mark Cover. Mark, as most of you know, is with Hines. He's the CEO of the Southwest region. And yes, Mark, thank you. Mark's vice chair, I don't believe, was able to be here, Walt Mischer. Most of you know Walt, and they have led our Transportation Committee through a very busy year. You'll hear more from Mark in just a little bit. Now, their committee worked very closely with Metro officials throughout the Metro Next process, so I'll come back to that in a minute. I do want to also acknowledge any other partnership board members that are here present. So what I ask the partnership board members who are here, including Carrin, including Mark, to stand and let us recognize you for your service to the board and the community. All right. Well, with that, I'm going to say enjoy your lunch. I'll return in a few minutes, and we'll continue with the program after lunch. Thank you very much. Please keep eating, of course, but we'll continue with our program. I do want to recognize a couple of elected officials who came in after the earlier introductions, or perhaps I just missed them. Let me introduce Vice Mayor Pro Tem, Councilmember Jerry Davis. Councilmember Davis, where are you? Thank you. Jerry? I'd also like to recognize the mayor of one of the fastest growing cities in the region. That's the city of Pearland, Mayor Pro Tem Derek Reed. Derek, can you stand? Thank you, Derek. All right. Well, shortly, Metro Chair Carrin Patman will deliver our keynote address and share a closer look at Metro Next plan. As I mentioned at the start of today's program, Metro and the partnership have a strong record of working together to improve the quality of life for Houstonians. Now, throughout 2019, throughout this year, the partnership's Transportation Advisory Committee, chaired by Mark Cover and vice-chaired by Walt Mischer, carefully studied MetroNext's transit modeling forecasts, the routes, the services, to ensure the plan contained a multimodal balance, including the flexibility to adapt to technological advancements, and all while maintaining fiscal responsibility. We're proud of the collaboration between the committee and Metro and are pleased to support the projects and funding to bring the plan to reality. We're confident that this plan captures efficiencies that will serve the broader community. Combined with a potential match of Metro Next, the plan, outlines more than 500 miles of improvement, which stand to benefit not only the 85.8 million passenger rides Metro provides annually through improved transportation systems, but also the broader commuting community through roadway improvements. In the committee's study of Metro's plan, after the committee's study of Metro's plan, the Partnership Board of Directors voted to support the ballot item included in November's general election, authorizing the Metro to issue up to $3.5 billion in bonds to finance the implementation of projects contained in its Metro Next plan. Combined with a potential match of $3.5 billion in federal funds and $500 million in other available local funds, the $3.5 billion bond will allow for up to $7.5 billion in transit network development projects that the partnership believes will be crucial for the growth and mobility demands of the Houston region for the next several decades. We encourage registered voters within the Metro service area to approve the bond item as part of the November general election. Early voting begins Monday, October 21st, and Election Day is on Tuesday, November 5th. The partnership believes the plan addresses the region's growth and mobility needs in a way that will keep our region moving forward. We applaud Metro's leadership as they undertake the bold vision of Metro Next, and Carrin will share details of the plans in just a few minutes. But before we hear from Carrin, I'd like to introduce the partnership's Transportation Advisory Committee Chair, Mark Cover. Mark is CEO of the Southwest region for Hines, and since joining Hines in 1983, he's contributed to the development, acquisition, and/or management of more than 28 million square feet of commercial real estate, totaling over $2 billion in value. Mark is currently responsible for key investment partner relationships and general asset management of 16 million square feet. If you think about what 1 million square feet is, Mark, that's like a 40-story building, right? So 16 million square feet. So please join me in welcoming Mark to the stage. He'll introduce Carrin.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Bob, and appreciate all of you being here today. I'm certainly honored to be here today as we discuss Metro's plan to bring major improvements to Houston's public transportation system that's outlined in Metro Next. As you've heard, the Transportation Advisory Committee worked closely with Metro to study and understand Metro Next to ensure it will more efficiently move Houstonians throughout our region, which is essential to economic success, not only for business, but for employees and their families. Metro Next directs transit plans through 2040, and it's a crucial step in ensuring our transit needs are met for both today's and our future population in Houston. Here to share the vision of what's next for Metro is Metro Chair Carrin Patman, as you've heard. Carrin was appointed by Mayor Turner in 2016 and has the distinction as the first female chair of Metro. Prior to becoming chair, she served on Metro's board from 2010 to 13. Before retiring in 2016, Carrin was a partner at Bracewell, where she worked for 3 decades as a trial lawyer representing diverse clients in major litigation, was the first woman elected to Bracewell's 7-member management committee. She graduated with honors from Duke University and is a graduate of the University of Texas Law School, where she was a member of the Texas Law Review. In 2014, Carrin completed an advanced leadership fellowship at Harvard with one area of focus concerning transportation, including urban transit and infrastructure. Carrin has also previously served as a board or executive committee member on many organizations in our community, including the Houston Center for Contemporary Craft, Legacy Community Health Services Endowment, Texas Appleseed Girls, Inc. of Greater Houston, and Sheltering Arms Senior Services. Carrin was vice chair of the Houston Bar Foundation and former president of the University of Texas Law Alumni Association and UT Law Review Association. Carrin also sits with a number of us on the Greater Houston Partnership Board. Please join me in welcoming Carrin Patman to the stage.
Well, thank you all so much. I see many of you here for the 4th time, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate your support as we move into this fraught time of our Metro plan. I want to give some shout outs. First of all, our wonderful A+ Board of Directors, Jim Robinson, Sanjay Ram. Will you all stand as I recognize you? Lisa Castaneda, Dr. Lex Frieden, Terry Morales, and did I miss anyone currently on the board? And let me include in the group Judge Dwight Jefferson, former board member, who's here today, or any other former board members. Would you stand? I don't see anybody, but thank you all so much for your service. And then, of course, I want to recognize our award-winning CEO, Best Transit Manager in the country last year, Tom Lambert and his team. If you're with Metro, stand up. I know Tom Jason is here, and Nigelon is here, and Jerome Gray. Oh my goodness, Kurt Lurson. I can't mention them all, but what a wonderful, wonderful group here. Now, I wanted to, and I do want to give a very special shout out. As I talk about the plan later on in the program, there is no group and no set of individuals that were more important in developing what I believe to be an excellent plan for our future than Mark Cover, Walt Mischer, Chase Kronzer, and Jenny Phillip with the partnership. We worked hand in glove together to craft a final plan that met the community's needs in a fiscally responsible manner, and I really want to thank them. Would you all stand? And we had to bring Taylor Landon in the end too. Where's Taylor? Had to bring in the big gun. And Bob, you had a role too. Yes. So thank you again for being here. Before I show you a wonderful film, let me just say the state of Metro is strong. It's robust, and it's getting stronger, from strong ridership to strong finances to strong management. I think we've demonstrated once again, and this is a tribute to the staff and the board, certainly not just me. In fact, I'm probably the least important factor in it, but we've shown that we are good stewards of taxpayer dollars. There are lots of highlights I want to share from the past fiscal year, because this year marks our 40th anniversary, believe it or not. Many of you were here at the inception of Metro, working to get the referendum passed in 1978 that created us in 1979. So let me just show you a brief video about some of those highlights.
Mission Mobility. Houston's been a city in transit since 1874. Mules were moving streetcars long before motors arrived, putting buses on the road in 1924. But it would be more than a half a century before voters ushered in another era, creating Metro in 1978. We started rolling in 1979. We're now celebrating 40 years of service to you, from America's first barrier-separated HOV lanes to services like MetroLift. From the early days of Metro's police department, formed in 1982, to the city's first light rail line in 2004. We've always been focused on the future. 2019 has been another year of innovation. Let your phone guide you to the bus stop or rail platform.
Hi, I'm Randy Frazier, Metro's Chief Technology Officer.
MyStop Technology is a Metro original that's revolutionizing the way you ride. By downloading or updating Trip app, you're linking your smartphone to thousands of beacons, directing you from where you're standing to the nearest bus stop or rail platform.
We partnered with Texas Southern University to put the Houston region's first and only autonomous shuttle in motion. And we joined with the City of Houston on a pilot project putting Wi-Fi on buses. We've been busy with safety initiatives totaling more than $50 million and approved hiring more police officers. We're watching even when you can't see us, with camera surveillance on most Metro properties. Keeping them clean can fight crime too.
We're investing more than $3 million to increase the frequency and detail of cleaning at Metro facilities, including the rail platforms.
Nothing matters more than safety.
We got you.
We got you.
We got you.
From mechanics making sure our buses, trains, and tracks are safe, to our lost and found team.
That's my baby. That's my baby.
Helping you is what we're all about.
The most important thing to me is driving safety for my passengers, taking them to and from, and greeting them. Well, good morning.
I'm Aurora Garcia. I've been a Metro Rail operator on the Green Line for over 5 years, and I love my job. It makes me happy visiting with my regular riders and meeting new ones. Let me take you and your family on your next adventure.
Moving forward to what's next. Wherever you're going, we'll get you there.
Isn't that great? The content is just, you know, I love watching our agency in action, our 4,000 employees. Sometimes I'll be behind a MetroLift van and I'll watch somebody get on and I see the operator taking extra care with a special spile to make that person feel comfortable and ease their way on the van, or I'm behind a bus and I watch how safely and carefully they drive. And they just lay it all on the field. Let's give it up one more time for our 4,000 person team. Now, I thought I'd start by embellishing a little bit or adding to kind of where we are now. You've just seen a video that synopsizes some of the accomplishments of the last year. But today I'm going to talk about Metro Now and then Metro Next. As you know, we provide an enormous number of rides in the region, 117 million rides per year last year. And this shows you the breakdown of the broad range of services, from our park and ride to our rail system to our bus system, which always will be and is the heart of our system. And then this just kind of discloses it. I've used a version of this slide every year, so you probably have seen it before. But this gives you the synopsis. And we are one of the transit agencies across the country where ridership is increasing. There's misinformation out there right now. You know, it's kind of silly season. Some people are running for offices. But our ridership since 2012 has been increasing steadily, 3% last year, 12% fixed route ridership increase since 2012. And if anyone asks you, well, does that keep up with the population growth? Yes, it has in our service area. As you know, our service area is not all of Harris County, but the western part of unincorporated, the city of Houston, and 14 smaller cities. And that increase is right in line with population increase in our service area. We carry, during peak periods, a number of rides that if we didn't carry them, you can only imagine the nightmare of the congestion that would be there. Downtown Houston during peak periods, 30 to 37%, depending on which survey you look at, of the riders are carried on Metro, 28% in the Med Center. So when I get to Metro next and the explosion of population in our region, you see why we've developed this plan. We're financially prudent stewards of your money. I'm particularly proud of the fact that not only do we get high marks for transparency, you can see our checkbook online, but we also have excellent bond ratings, AA2 from Moody's, Standard & Poor's, a AAA rating. And we are all about roads as well, because in order to move, you have to have good roadways. So we have what's known, as many of you know about, the General Mobility Program, when up to 25% of our funding from sales tax, and we're funded with 1 cent of the sales tax, up to a quarter of that penny is given back to the city of Houston, Harris County, and the smaller cities in the service area for their own discretionary mobility projects. Sidewalks, synchronization of lights, street repairs, bike lanes, whatever they choose to use it on. $3.2 billion has been rebated since the program's inception. And then, of course, as you know from my prior presentations, we're all about innovation. As the film showed, we are piloting the first autonomous vehicle in the state of Texas, and that's at the TSU campus. It's going down Tiger Walk, the main pedestrian corridor. I've ridden in it. When an obstacle was placed in front of it, it did stop, so that was very heartening. And so I encourage you just to jump on it. Go down to Tiger Walk and take a ride, because those autonomous vehicles are the wave of the future. This laser is not going to work particularly well. No, it's not going to work at all. Well, actually what I could do is, let me just highlight a few things here. This is, operator error probably. Well, that little van right up there, AV Pilot TSU, that's a representation of the van. Then we also are looking at platooning buses, because a big part of Metro Next are two-way HOV lanes, and you can see those futuristic looking buses connected and moving along like rail cars. They'll probably have a driver in the first one, but that's a new innovation that we are forward thinking about in our plan. Of course, we're all about autonomous technologies. We'd love more CNG. I know Ronnie Cunod's here, and electric buses as we're able to embrace those in our system more, because they're clean burning. Although the diesel buses we have now are much less dirty than you would think, because they're hybrid, part electric and then the rest is not. So these are, one day you'll be able to take out your iPhone when you're planning your trip. I'm sure a lot of you ride transit now, and you use the trip planning app to go from A to B, which you could if you don't, and you'll be able to combine it with Zipcar, Uber and Lyft, little autonomous vans getting you to the bus stop or getting you from the bus stop to your workplace, any bike lanes, any type of bike share, any type of transit out there. You'll be able to plan your whole trip using different modes on your iPhone. So that gives you a synopsis of our current services. So what's next for our region? Well, this is our plan, developed in close collaboration with the partnership. First of all, as Bob alluded to, our population is exploding in the region. By 2040, we're projected to have 10 million people. we're going to have 50% population increase in the metro service area alone, which is again a small subset of our overall 8-county region, although we do give 97% of the rides on transit in the region. And one of the services I failed to mention is our van pool program. We have 547 van pools that we facilitate. So we are by far from a one-size-fits-all agency. If a technology or a mode makes sense in a given area, we adopt it. And then you're going to see 4.5 million jobs. So that's the forecast. So in order to plan for that forecast, it's just incumbent on us to build out our system, because you can imagine the crippling congestion that would ensue if we don't. Envision, Harvey, when the major freeways were blocked off and traffic bled off into the neighborhoods and caused all sorts of paralyzation. Well, if we can't handle that now, and of course that was an unusual circumstance, but there's still a lot of congestion. Just think when there are 10 million people, 3 million more people in our region. So we've modeled the congestion, as you know, and one thing that we often don't think about, I heard a wonderful presentation by Rick Campo, who's on the partnership board and also port chair. And he gave a presentation on the port, and this is a really scary slide that he put up. But look at all this freight congestion. These are where freight congestion is now. And his point was, when we widen the port, and when we have all this incoming traffic, trucks that move on roadways are going to increase exponentially too. So that's another form of congestion that we need to consider. So we develop goals in our planning process, and these are pretty obvious, but this is a synopsis. First of all, obviously, we want more ways to get around in our plan. We want to ease traffic. We want to support our communities. This one was very important to Mark Cover. And return on investment, of course. It's not like a for-profit agency. The return is not money. It's some meaningful impact on mobility in our region. And then to future-proof the system, to make sure that by the time we built something out, it wasn't already obsolete, to take into account all the other technologies coming online. And then, of course, to build upon our existing investments. Now, these goals were reached by our board, but we also went out to the community and had numerous contacts that took the form of open houses. I think we had 54 open houses and public meetings where people attended, 90 meetings with elected officials in the metro service area, 450 community locations where we got out the word and took comments, and then about 1,200 community events where we did that sort of thing. Not to mention that we set up a website and got a bunch of comments that way, and almost all the management districts, along with other concerned citizens, weighed in writing, in letters that said, here's what we really think you should be doing. And so we had tremendous input from the community. So let me pause here and show you a film. Is this the place where the film is, Jerome? I think so, isn't it? Yes, okay. And I'll show you a film that synopsizes
we listened, and now we have a plan for the future. 7 million people call the Houston region home. And over the next 20 years, our population will grow to more than 10 million. With our roadways already packed, think of traffic in the future. Metro has developed a plan with the goal of easing congestion and improving travel times throughout the region. The Metro Next Moving Forward plan calls for over 500 miles of travel investments and enhancements, like the creation of 75 miles of new Metro Rapid transit lines along 5 heavily traveled corridors, including one to Bush Airport. These vehicles stop at special platforms and zip through intersections while others wait for the traffic light. We'll also add 110 miles of two-way HOV lanes to make travel easier for buses and cars along I-45, US 59, US 290, and I-10. Plus, the Metro Next plan adds 16 miles of new light rail, connecting the green and purple lines to the downtown municipal courthouse and Hobby Airport. And the red line gets extended to the North Shepherd Park and Ride. 21 new and improved park and rides and transit centers are in this plan, designed to get you where you need to go, whether you're inside the 610 loop or in the suburbs. Metro will continue to contribute to road and other mobility projects spearheaded by Houston, Harris County, and 14 smaller cities in our service area. The Moving Forward plan calls for approximately 10 new community connector routes that allow you to call in to schedule a ride within a specific zone. The plan enhances 290 miles of select local bus routes with our Boost initiative, which adds safety lighting and new bus shelters to more stops. And as always, Metro is adding even more options to increase accessibility for all, including improved shelters and sidewalks. The Metro Next Moving Forward plan looks at new ways to link cyclists and pedestrians to Metro services, creating a seamless travel experience. Everything in the Metro Next Moving Forward plan seeks to improve the quality of life throughout the greater Houston region, with absolutely no tax increases. If approved by voters, it will be paid for with a combination of bonds, grants, and Metro's local funding. Metro's Road to 2040 is paved with more than 40 projects in the Moving Forward plan. Learn more at metronext.org.
So, and one of the wonderful things, they mentioned federal grants in the presentation, and I'll talk to you in a minute about the finances, but something wonderful has happened, quite frankly, and that is that our Congresswoman Lizzie Fletcher, who's here today, is on the Transportation and Infrastructure Committee. Not only that, she's the chairperson of a subcommittee, and she supports bringing our share of federal dollars to the region. So, okay, let's see. Okay, All right, so these are the key financial assumptions. We're seeking on the November 5th ballot, there is a referendum because the law requires us, if we are going out for bonding authority, to go out to the voters, and so for long-term bonding authority. So we're seeking $3.5 billion in bonding authority. We are hoping for a $3.5 billion federal match. The bonding, of course, won't be issued all at once. It will be issued over at least a 20-year period in reasonably prudent increments. And that was one thing that the partnership helped us with, Mark and Walt. We have some provisions in the referendum that keep us from getting ahead of our skis on the bonding as we issue it. Because, of course, authority is different than capacity, and we'll only issue what we have the capacity to issue at a given time. And then we get a match, but you have to have the authority, though, for the federal government to consider your projects because they need to know you're going to be in for your share of the match. And then $500 million in local funding. And then as part of the plan, we also extend that general mobility program through 2040. It's currently set to be revisited in 2025, and we extend that to 2040. Oh, and the most important part, no tax increase. So here is what I'm going to do is just share the plan with you in sort of a layered fashion. You've seen the map, the overall map before last year. A few things have changed, and this will just show you piece by piece what we're doing. Okay, this is a map of the existing Metro Rail, and then the Post Oak corridor is on there too, because even though that was not a Metro project, that was an Uptown Tourist project, we are buying the buses and operating the system once it's operational. So we put that on there too, existing rapid transit. And you know, the Uptown BRT is actually not going to be as rapid as our rapid transit system that's in Metro Next, but it is a form of rapid transit. So here you start. Then we add 75 miles of a new technology called Metro Rapid or Bus Rapid Transit, called all over the country Rail on Rubber. The buses operate in dedicated lanes with traffic signal priority. The doors open flush with a platform. The idea is for you to feel much more like you're on a rail line. And it's been working beautifully in other parts of the country. We've visited and seen it in operation. You have stations, you have doors that, as I mentioned, open flush with a platform, so you go on and off bus or off vehicle fare payment, which makes the system more seamless. And the great part is it's 1/3 to 1/2 the cost of a rail line. So some of the corridors that many years ago were envisioned to be rail lines turn into bus rapid transit in our plan. For example, the University Corridor comes from downtown, and we're able to take it all the way to West Chase and then going around all the way up to Tidwell for essentially the same amount of money. Now, Metro Next Regional Express, this is two-way high-occupancy vehicle lanes for our park and ride system. And we're going to be working with TxDOT on that and putting our own money in, 110 miles. It makes a difference in the commute. Then Metro Rail, we extend Metro Rail. Now, here's our analysis on Metro Rail. You know, rail is very, very expensive, as we all know. It's $110 million a mile at least. So we've been out of the grant process for quite some time. We have a lot of catching up to do, and there are these new technologies out there, like bus rapid transit, that seems to work well too. And so we decided for new corridors that we hadn't started on yet, we would go to bus rapid transit, but that for existing places where we had rail, we would try to make it go to a logical destination. So as you can see, we connect the purple and green lines. The rail is in cobalt blue. We connect the purple and green lines. We go down to Hobby, giving us an airport connection on rail, which was some of the community feedback we got. And then we also take it all the way up to the North Shepherd Park and Ride, where there are so many cross currents of lines that that made sense too. And actually, Walt and Mark and I drove these lines to make sure that they really made sense. And when you see Walt, you can tease him that the connection there of the two lines, green and purple, has been dubbed by Mark Cover the Misher line, the M line. So when you take that, you'll know it's the M line. And then we do a lot for our existing bus service. We have an acronym for it, BOOST, Bus Optimized Operation Services, something like that. I think our planning team came up with the acronym and then found words to fit it. I can never remember, but the bottom line is we vastly enhance our bus service on these particular routes with various amenities that make them more seamless. And then just overall system enhancements, putting in money for accessibility. Metro now has a program under the leadership of Dr. Frieden and Sanjay Ram, in which we are systematically evaluating all of the 9,000 bus stops on our system. In fact, I think the evaluation is completed, isn't it? And then now, as to accessibility needs, and now we're going back in and building out the infrastructure in collaboration with Carol Haddock. I know Carol's here, very much our partner in all of this. And our new, whom I just met, our new Chief Accessibility Officer for the city, I think is here, or was earlier. We'll be working very closely with him on this as well. but we have funding for it in the plan. And that tells you a little bit about our accessibility initiative. So that is what we're calling Metro Next. The projects that are alluded to in the film, this is they. And let me just close by thanking the partnership for its role in formulating this plan and thanking you for learning about it here today. Oh, and I do want to recognize the very most important person in my world. When I first took this job several years ago, in fact, when he married me over 21 years ago, Jim Derrick had no idea what he was getting into. And we've been each other's partners now in every sense of the word. And I just thank you so much, darling, for all your support.
Thank you, Carrin. Appreciate it so much. Let me shift to the mics. Thanks, Carrin, for that. So a little bit impromptu, I'm going to show you all something. And in case there's a violation, a serious violation here, I have to be careful. I won't identify with anyone in particular. But years ago, a Metro employee gave me a Metro card with $5 worth of value on it. And it got me to take the first step to get on light rail. It's amazing how that one act kind of changed my life in terms of accessibility. And I keep thinking all of us in Houston ought to have at least $5 on a Metro card and get on light rail, get to the partnership tower. We're served by light rail. It really is a great way to come over to anything we're doing at the office. But I'm kind of looking at the person who gave me the card, but I don't want to get him in trouble. Thank you. So I do want to reiterate our strong support for the upcoming bond issue. I think it's faring well. It seems like people are supportive of Metro. They appreciate that it's earned the respect of the community. They know that we need improved transit options in this city. And I think they take comfort in the fact that the partnership has worked closely with Metro to make sure that this is an exciting yet reasonable and financially prudent plan. So we're proud to offer our support to the upcoming bond election. Please talk it up. Get your employees to at least think seriously about the needs and the merits of this plan and do what you can. So let me shift gears. Shifting to a different topic, we have a golf classic to talk about. I'm just going to remind you that our 24th annual golf classic is Monday, October 21st. It's at the Jack Nicklaus Signature Golf Course at the club at Carlton Woods, a fantastic golf course. So this event offers quite exclusive networking opportunities, so I hope you'll consider coming, sponsoring, being part of that. We have the Texas Medical Center President and CEO Bill McKeon delivering his annual State of the Texas Medical Center address on Thursday, October 31st. Thursday, October 31st. That'll be a great event. And I'd also invite you to save the date for our 2019 Manufacturing Industry Forum on Wednesday, November 6th, where Rich Wells, he's chair of the Partnership's Manufacturing and Logistics Committee, and he's also VP of the U.S. Gulf Coast Operations for Dow Chemical Company. He'll be presenting. He'll deliver an industry update, followed by a keynote address from Mike Molnar, who's the founding director of the Office of Advanced Manufacturing at the National Institute of Standards and Technology. So I hope you're able to attend some of these upcoming events. So let me thank you all for being here. Thank you, Carrin. Thank you for your team. It's been a pleasure working with you. Think about us on November 5th as you get to the ballot box. Thank you all.